Today we're going to drop the transmission on this 9th gen Honda Civic Si. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the intake, get access to the top of the transmission, remove the battery, probably remove the ECU. Yeah, just try to get access to the transmission from here to disconnect it from the transmission mount. We're going to have to remove the wheels, take off the axles, and what else? We'll see what else we have to remove. Alright, so this one is an aftermarket intake assembly. So do as you need to remove your intake assembly. This one's going to be a lot smoother, and no, it does not have the cooling bypass on there, so we should be good. Using a 10 mil, we'll disconnect the battery from the negative, and while we're at it, we'll try to remove the battery clamp from here. Alright, this should be a size 10. For this one is a size 12. This back one looks like it is the original one. Yep, that one is a size 10. Okay, so we'll disconnect the battery, make sure the negative terminal is loose. Disconnect the positive terminal, I already have that loose. We'll remove these from here, loosen them up the bracket to remove the battery. And remove the battery, we'll set that down over to the side. Alright, and now I'm going to remove the intake assembly, and we'll probably remove this plate as well, just to get more a little bit access around the transmission. Might not need to because it's not coming up, it is going down. Alright, I got the air box out. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be removing this intake tubing here just to get out of the way. Alright, looks like this one had a screw on this side down in here, but it did not have it on there, so I was able to remove this from here. I'm going to remove the ECU from here, disconnect it from the connectors from the back, because we need to get access to the engine mount here. Alright, I'm going to use a trim tool to remove the harness from this connector here, and from the back it has little clips. If you just press those in, you'll be able to release it from there. And it looks like it's going to be a 10 mil here, 10 mil right there, and then we'll see what else. Alright, and we'll remove this from here and remove this one from here as well. Alright, and we're able to remove it from there. I'm going to put these bolts back into place here, so when it's time to put everything back, we know where everything goes. Same thing for the one on top. Alright, and I'm going to disconnect these from the back, get this over to the side. Alright, and you just press in the clip and slide this back out, and there it is. Looks like it's still attached to the main harness here, so we'll remove it from this bracket here. These are all 10. Looks like there's 3 of them. Let's remove those 3 nuts. Alright, and there it is, and I'll put these back into place. Alright, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to remove this ground. Might not need to, but I'm going to remove it anyways, and I'm going to disconnect the shifter cables from here, redo the clips that are holding them into place, undo the sensors that are plugged into it, 1 and 2. Alright, I got some light in here for these little clips here. It looks like we're going to have to open these up and then pull them out, so let me do that there. Alright, first one is off. Here's the second one. We're going to do these clips. I'm going to put these back, and after we do these clips, this one we'll be able to remove. Perfectly, both came out. Sweet. Next we'll just put the little retainer clips back into place and release these clips. Alright, and with a flathead, try to remove the clips, and then you can use some pliers as well. Just try to do your best to get this out of here. This thing is pretty jammed in there, pretty good. Alright, there it is. I had to use some pliers to apply some pressure down in here and up here to pry it out, and then I used this flathead to kind of pry it from the top, and then finish removing it with this one here. So the thing is pretty tricky. Now we're able to remove the shifter cables from their location. There we go. Sweet. Next, disconnect sensors. There's a total of 3, 1, 2, and then 3 down in here. Alright, I loosened up that brown terminal there. Put this bolt back into place. I undid the wire harness from here, from there, from right here. So we can set this up on top, like so. Alright, we pretty much have the whole transmission almost loose. I'm going to loosen up the slave here. Disconnect it from right here. There's a nut, 10 mil nut right there, holding this bracket into place. We'll get that out of the way. And I believe that might be it from the front and the top, other than the bolts holding it into place. Alright, these are going to be a size 12 mil. I'm just using a 12 mil and a few extensions, 2 6s and a third. Yeah, 3-inch extension with a 12 deep socket, just to be able to get some leverage from up here. I loosen up this 10 mil nut right here as well. So let me get this out of the way. Sweet, and we'll just let it dangle on top of the bottom radiator hose. Oh, camera is right in the way, creating shape. There it is. Okay, so I'm gonna put these suckers back because you know how we do. And check this out. No bueno. Anyways, let's see. We are pretty much set from up here. Let's lift up the vehicle. Let's remove the wheels. Let's start getting the axle out. Axles out and the half shaft. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be the next move. All right, we'll use a size 19 mil to loosen up the lug nuts for the wheel. We'll remove both wheels on both sides, and then we'll remove the fuck, we need to disconnect it from the ball joints. All right, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this bend to unbend so we can try to get this nut out. I got the other side pretty well already. Now I'm just trying to do this driver's side here. All right, and I finished it with a little punch here with the hammer. Perfect. We should be able to drive that sucker out. This is going to be a size 36 mil. See what happens. Nice one. Now the other side. There we have it. Sweet. All right, we'll use a 17 mil to remove the nuts that are on the ball joints here. There's 2 nuts and there's 1 bolt on both sides. We'll do the other side as well. All right, so the bolt joints are pretty much loose here. I might have to do the tie-ins, the tie rods, maybe even the sway bar. We'll just disconnect these and this one here. But we're also going to start draining the transmission fluid, because as soon as we pop the axles out, it's going to start to leak transmission fluid. So we'll just drain out the fluid now. Alright, so it just uses a 3/8 ratchet to break that loose. And then I'm going to put my catch pan right underneath it and catch all that oil. Wow, that shit's never been changed out. Yeah. Alright, and we will wipe this down and put that drain plug back into place and secure it down. Make sure you tighten it up. Don't forget to leave it loose or undone, because when you go to add transmission fluid, it's going to leak all out. And just make sure it's nice and secure. Does not need to be over tight. Alright, it's going to be a size 19 to remove the end leak for the steering, the tie rod, whatever it's called. Alright, and I have the nut right there, right on top, just like so we don't mess up the threads. And then we're able to remove this here, and we'll do the same thing to the other side. Put that nut back. Alright, this one has a little cotter pin there, so we'll remove this one from here, and then we'll repeat the same process. All right, let me see if I can get this out of here. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have to do the sway bar links, so we should be able to get this out and get the axle out from there now. All right, we'll give this a nice little tappy wabby so we get that axle to come that F out. If you have a little punch, I suggest using the little punch so you don't mushroom this here and have any issues installing it. All right, we got this one out of the hub. Just kind of move it to the side a little bit, and there we have it. From right underneath the transmission where the axle meets the transmission, you can use a little pry bar or a punch and hit it out. And here we are from underneath the transmission. Just try to pop that sucker out. We could also do this, pry it underneath and then hit this with the hammer to kind of help the vibrations out. All right, axle should be loose. There it is. We'll get this sucker out of here. All right, now we'll do the same thing to the other side. This one has a axle and a half shaft. So we'll get the axle out. The half shaft will have to get out. Here's the half shaft here. Should be bolted on to a couple of bolts back in here. All right, once you get it off the hub, what I like to do is just hit it right behind the axle there and hit this with the hammer till you get it to come out, and then we'll just get this sucker out of here. All right, and here is the passenger axle. We'll get the half shaft out next. That is mounted with the heat shrink. So we'll have to get to that sucker next. All right, so it looks like there's an exhaust bracket that is in the way. Looks like it's attached to the catalytic converter. That one does not have that bolt there. So I am going to remove this bolt that's right here. This is a size 14. This will remove that bracket out of the way, and then we'll have access to the bolts behind the half shaft. Sweet, and there's that bracket. I just have the bolt there, and I'm gonna just set this right there with the axle so I know where that is at. All right, and there's a bolt there, bolt on the other side, and there's a bolt right up on top. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. Try to focus onto it. Maybe not. There it is. The bolt is right there. Let's remove all those three, and then we should be able to remove this half shaft. All right, this will be a 14 mil to take off. Suckers are in there tight. There's one. There's two more to loosen up. All right, so this heat shield is in the way. Looks like there's a 10 mil here, and there is a 10 mil up here. And then we'll be able to get that heat shield out the way and get that last bolt. There's a little shield right there. We'll get to that last bolt now. All right, this last one, how to get it from up here. There's really no room, but you should be able to get it from the top. All right, and there they are. These two bolts are a little different. This is on the driver's side. I'm sorry, passenger side, driver's side, and the one on the very top, the one that we had to remove the heat shield to get to. All right, now that we have this shaft loose, this should just slide out, and we'll get this sucker out of the way. Now that we have the axles out, you gotta basically loosen up the rack and pinion, secure the rack and pinion so we don't drop it and lose the alignment. Then drop the subframe, and then release the transmission, get it off the transmission mount. That should be done. A lot easier said than done though. A lot easier said than done. All right, I think I'm gonna disconnect this rear engine mount from here. next. So let's remove the 2 bolts holding that into place. All right, we're gonna use a 17 mil to remove these from here. All right, 2 bolts are gone. That's loose from there. The little transmission window is gone already. It did not have it here, but remove that to 10 mils. All right, so I think what is left is to dismount the rack and pinion, secure that shit down, loosen up all the bolts on the transmission mount. I'm gonna try, what I have to do is I have to replace the clutch on this. What I'm gonna try to do is maybe just lower the subframe a little bit on this side, and then just scoot the transmission into here. I don't know if that would give me enough clearance to change out the clutch itself, because I already did it to this one. This next part's a bitch. It really is. I'm gonna attempt that first. If not, then off with everything else. So let's lower the vehicle back down, and I'm gonna loosen up that transmission mount, get it out of the way, support the transmission with the jack for now, and we'll go from there. We'll play that out. All right, I have the transmission supported up with a wooden block with the jack there. I am going to loosen these up here, remove the 2 nuts and the bolt from there. Then I'm going to remove this bolt from here so I can get this bracket out the way. That way I have access to be able to slide this back and forth, hopefully. Let's see if my plan works. Alright, these are going to be 17 mil. And I'm using a pretty long extension just so I'm able to reach up in here. Out. And this last one back here. This one is the trickier one. Sweet, it is loose. We'll remove this one from here. Alright, for this one I'm using a wrench just because really no axis there for a ratchet. Wow, to get to this bolt out, you gotta remove this plate. I'm gonna just try to remove this whole bracket. 1 bolt, 2 bolts, 3 bolts there. Alright, I got this whole bracket loose, and there we have it. I'm gonna just set everything like this and secure this one back into place. Alright, just overlooking at everything, there's a 10 mil right here holding on to this wiring harness. I suggest maybe removing that so we don't have no issues later on. Get everything nice and freed up. Alright, well, I'm going to start loosening up all the transmission bolts all around the transmission. Everything else is basically loose. We'll see what happens. Alright, so I'm using the 17 3/8 where they swivel, and the adapter from the 1/2 to 3/8, and using the 1/2 impact. I'm gonna start breaking these bolts loose. I have my transmission out, the one that I replaced on this one here, just so I can put those bolts into here and use that as a diagram. That's my drawing board. Let's get this done. All right, so I got the first 2 on top. The next one is gonna be the starter bolts. I'm gonna have to lift up the car for that, and possibly lift up the car for the rest. So, good luck. Alright, I got the starter bolt out. It is right there. Kind of hard to get to, but you should be able to reach it. Right in there. Perfect. We have another one right here. Right on the other side of the transmission in the front, and then here as well. These look like size 12s. Then we have the big one up here, another one up here, and then I think that's it. These 2, the small ones, and one in the back. Sweet. I said 12. It's actually a 14. Funny me. You're funny, bro. Oh, I thought this one was a bolt, but it's not a bolt. It's going to be a guide. Yep. Just like on this side. Alright, and the transmission is loose. There, it's coming off. It might just work. I might just have to drop the subframe a little bit. Probably bring it down on this side as well, so it could hang a little bit. And then probably remove the bolts on this side so it dangles a lot more. Unsure yet, but I think we might be able to do this. Alright, so I took these out. And then threaded them up that much. There's a little nip right here. So I feel that's pretty much good. Same thing on this side. I removed the bolt here. Now I'm going to try to drop this other side. Push my leg. Alright, so I think that's pretty good. We have quite a bit of clearance. Let me get this transmission to slide out of there. And I'll probably just try to sit in there. We'll see how this goes. Well, I'll be damned. It might just work. We'll be able to loosen up the clutch from here. Rotate the engine from here. Replace the throwout bearing here. Oh, nice, it's broken. Well, good thing the kit comes with a replacement. Sweet. It might just work. Alright, you'll need a 12 points, 10 mil socket to be able to remove the clutch bolts from here. I do have a 19 mil on this side so I can hold the engine from spinning. So I'm going to break each one loose, then I'll rotate the flywheel and remove the next one and the next one and the next one until I complete this job. Then I should be able to remove the clutch, install the new one, and be done. Yeah. Alright, I had to switch it to be able to lock the engine. Now we're going to rotate it because we want to rotate it clockwise, never counter, so always clockwise. Otherwise you're going to mess up the tensioner and just throw the whole system off. It's getting caught right here on this transmission, so let me push it back and do that. Alright, I kind of had to set the transmission back in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take off all of the clutch bolts off of here, and then we'll reposition the transmission, get that clutch out, install the new one, and get on with it. So it looks like I'm gonna have to reposition the transmission every time I take off the freaking bolts because it just does not get in. I try to do it with the little swivel one, not happening. Alright, so now we know. Actually, I got it in a position where I'm able to rotate the whole engine and I don't need to be moving the transmission back and forth. Sweet, and we just got these last two bolts right here. 1 and 2, and then it should come off. Then I'll reposition the transmission to have enough clearance to do what I need to do. Alright, sweet. Try to get the clutch assembly off of there. Hella clutch material. Oof. Let me get this sucker out. Sweet, and there it is. This clutch actually still has some life in it. It's not that bad. Yeah, this thing actually has some life in it still. Oh well, we're gonna get a replacement. Throw it back into place. I'm gonna try to replace that throwout bearing or the pilot bearing. Let's see if we can get it off. I have the old pilot bearing here from the previous transmission job I did. Let's see if it's enough gap. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that. It's okay. Well, there you have it. This method only works if you're replacing the clutch, not the pilot bearing. In order to replace the pilot bearing, you would need to drop the transmission. You would need to drop the subframe. You would need to remove the rack and pinion or unattach it from the subframe and ratchet strap it somehow up on top. Or just do this. You get the clutch out and throw the clutch in. Up to you. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is how we do that. I'm not gonna do the install. If you made it this far, you figure it out. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.